Welcome to Perspectives El Paso. I'm Leon Blevins, Professor of Government at El Paso Community College. This is late April of 2016. And as you notice, I'm holding a newspaper today. This is the Tejano Tribune here at El Paso Community College. And the article is about carrying guns, concealed weapons, pistols on college campuses, including El Paso Community College. When I picked up this edition of the paper just this week, I noticed the headline, Concealed Carry Law Will Allow Guns on Campus, starts next year at EPCC. And here's just a brief opening. El Paso Community College, EPCC, hosted a forum to determine gun-free zones for the college. This forum was the first in a series that EPCC will use to help students become more involved in issues surrounding the college. Quote, "We will be having these forums district-wide," end quote, said Chief of Police for EPCC Police Department, Jose L. Ramirez. Oh, so I have Chief Ramirez here for our program today. He's quoted in this article as saying, the college itself cannot be a safe zone. Chief, good to see you. I see you on campus.
Good to see you, sir. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, you're quite welcome. I've noticed that you teach a class sometimes in the evening, at least
sir.
one class a semester. And I haven't had a chance to get as well acquainted with you, some of the previous chiefs of police. Maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know why.
I don't know.
But we're glad that you've been with us. How long have you been with the force?
Almost 8 years here at the community college.
Okay, and your career prior to that was in law enforcement?
Yes, overall I have 30 years of being in law enforcement.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
With the El Paso Police Department?
Yes, I retired with from the El Paso Police Department.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about your role in a broader scope before we get to the guns on campus issue. So far as policing a force, how large is your force? How many officers do you have? How many staff members? Any idea about how many you have working with you?
Overall, we have 39, the entire department is 39 officers. Mm-hmm. And then also under me is I'm responsible for the vehicle registration department.
Okay.
So altogether, I supervise directly under me about 80 people. Mm-hmm. But the officers in particular, we're responsible for all 6 campuses, including this one here because classes are taught here at the Administrative Services Center. Right. But we're also responsible for covering 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Right.
We really never close. Even during the breaks that the school is on, spring break, Christmas holidays, my officers are still working. We're always working.
Yeah, a number of my former students now work for the police department, for your department, or have in the past worked for the department. And I see them coming and going here. And when I let myself into my campus, Valle Verde, to my office sometimes, and report and tell them I'm in the building and about how long I'm going to be there and so on, and I hear some of my former students or friends answering the phone.
Right.
Even during these week-long breaks or the Christmas holiday and all that, you're right, it's a year-round occupation. Mm-hmm. Okay, tell us a little bit about basic policing of several campuses. It's very different than the city police department.
Yes, sir. It is very different. The philosophy at the school is more service-oriented as opposed to the city, which is enforcement-oriented. Mm-hmm. So here we just try to be do more community policing, and with that I mean that we are really helpful in providing directions to the public, assisting in opening doors, jump-starting vehicles, just providing general assistance, directions to people that come onto our campus, and point them in the right direction. We also, of course, deal with crimes that occur, because we do have some crimes that occur here on campus.
Right.
And when those happen, then we deal with them too. So my officers are trained to handle all those incidents, and we do. But like I say, the philosophy here at the college is more service-oriented.
Were you in on the transition from the metal keys to our doors to the plastic keys to our doors?
Yes, sir. And we continue to do that. As we have money in the budget, of course, we keep implementing the control access cards and electronic. It makes it easier, it's more user-friendly, and it also allows us to keep track of who's coming into the offices at what time. Mm-hmm. And it facilitates the work for the officers also, because then that's another door that they don't have to open.
Okay.
So yes, sir. So we're continually upgrading the systems that we have, and we will continue to do that.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's a service more than an enforcement kind of situation.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
What about the most? You have a highlight in your mind about policing here for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
One time I stopped a fight between two women in the hallway just before spring break. They were in a fist fight.
Okay.
And one of my former students, Ordaz, I think is his name, he showed up and helped us with stopping that and made an arrest for simple assault. Anything worse than that has come to your attention that you've had to deal with?
No, pretty much. I remember another occasion where there was another fight at Trans Mountain campus, and there in that incident, a student actually pulled out a knife, and again, like I said, they were involved in a fight. Fortunately, other people intervened, and no one got hurt. So on that incident, also we made an arrest, but that was it. That's really one of the most serious things that we've dealt with.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Now then, this leads us to the issue about guns on campuses. And I think some of the start of it goes back maybe to 1999 in Columbine, April of 1999, in Colorado, when these two young men shot up the school and traumatized the nation in a sense. And you had some cases such as a couple of young kids down in Arkansas shot and killed a teacher and shot some of their classmates. Very young kids. Their pictures were on the front of a news magazine. And then Virginia Tech, 2007. Where a student goes in and he shoots up the classroom and kills a number of people. Changed everything. What about your perspective on these issues and these events?
Well, all of those events, they have been tragedies. And as you said, they've occurred throughout the nation. Fortunately, those events don't happen too often, but when they do happen, it's mass casualties. Because unfortunately, these individuals are pretty well armed, and they take advantage of going into a place where there's a lot of defenseless people, and that's why we have all the loss of life. As a police officer, I've seen a lot of things during my career, and that being one of them, as far as one of the most serious type of things that has occurred in the nation. So.
Now you have special training for your officers. I see them sometimes in my wing of my office area, and they have it taped off and active training, shooter training. Tell us about that. How do you deal with this?
Yes, sir. We continue to do active shooter training. We bought some replica rifles so that we can learn the weight and the distribution of the weight of the rifle. It's just the same as the real thing, but we just want to keep safety in mind, of course. And we run the officers through different scenarios. We teach them how to clear a building, how to approach a building, how to enter a hallway, how to enter a room, and actually clear the room. There's techniques that are used for that in law enforcement. And so we've been training and continue to do more training. One of the things also that we've done is that not only are we training here at Valle Verde, but we've also trained at the other campuses, so that all officers are familiar with all of the other campuses in case an incident occurs at any one of the other campuses. And we continue to do that. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You never know when you're going to need it. Be prepared.
Be prepared. That's all. We're always prepared. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst to happen if it does happen. Okay, then let's transition to this legislation. I know I haven't had a discussion with you about this, but I'm sure you have some personal opinions about it. A little history. A number of years ago, especially when a very conservative state legislature took over, we began to hear about guns and legalization of guns. And some of this traces back in Texas history to Killeen, Texas, I believe it was, where a man with a bunch of guns drove his pickup into a Luby's cafeteria and shot and killed a number of people. And a young woman was there with her parents. They died. She had a gun in her pickup, or whatever the vehicle was that she had, and she said if she'd had that gun, she could have stopped the person, and she would have saved a bunch of lives. So we began to hear that. She ran for the legislature, I believe got elected, and helped push through the first concealed carry law. Okay, I don't remember her name now. But then we heard more and more about this, college campuses, when these kind of events began to happen. A legislator here was urging that, and I corresponded with him and all my other legislators, and I said, now, if you're going to permit the carrying of guns in classes, I think I would prefer that it be open carry so I can see who has guns in my room. And if the people are really scared, and I said, I know I can't do this, require it, but I'll say to you students that are scared that somebody's going to come running into a door and shoot you dead, I want you to all sit facing the door, ready to draw in case somebody comes in. Mm-hmm. And then I ask, what do you think the odds are of that ever happening in your lifetime? Mm-hmm. What do you think it is? It's very small.
Very small. Mm-hmm.
That anybody's going to come running into our classrooms and start shooting it up. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, they didn't pass it in that session, but in the last one, they did pass it, the open carry in the classes. Now, you are having to deal with this. Did you, I know other police associations, they lobbied, they communicated that they did not want the legalization of guns in the college classrooms.
Right. Yes, sir. But as we know, the law did pass. Senate Bill 11 passed. And that particular bill is what is going to allow college students to carry their weapons, their handguns, concealed in a classroom. Mm-hmm. But the law did also put into the law that colleges and universities can establish rules, reasonable rules, to determine which zones in the colleges and universities they would like to become gun-free zones. So that is what we're doing right now. Okay. And by we, I mean the president, Dr. Serrata, has appointed a task force, and it's 14 of us, 14 members. We have representation from faculty, staff, and students. And what we're doing is we are going to produce a report, write a report as to, with our recommendations as to which areas in the college should be gun-free zones. You make at the beginning of the interview, you make mention to the newspaper, mm-hmm. And what I meant by that is that we're not going to be able to make the entire college a gun-free zone, okay? But there will be certain areas where we could make gun-free zones.
Now these have to be approved by the board.
Correct, yes, sir, by the president and the board of trustees. Yes,
okay,
sir.
What are some of the areas you're talking about as gun-free?
For example, right now we're believing, and nothing is in writing yet. But,
yeah, right.
But the early college high schools, the daycare centers that we have on various campuses, as well as some of the chemistry labs, some of the art classrooms, and those would be potential gun-free zones due to the higher level of an explosion due to the chemicals,
right.
And things like that, things of that nature. But so far, like I said, we haven't produced a report. We're in the process of doing that, but those would be some of the areas.
Well, you need to give us a telephone number in case anyone wants to be involved in that. Of course, they can see information in the school newspaper, right. But give us a telephone number.
Well, there is no telephone number per se where that they can call, but what we have done, the task force has done, is we have actually created a web page.
Oh, okay.
It's on the main website for the college.
Okay.
And you pull that up, there'll be a section there where it says gun-free zones or campus carry. You click there, it'll take you to the page that we created, where we are giving the public an opportunity to provide input as to which areas of the college they would like to become gun-free zones.
Have you already started scanning some of those comments?
Yes, and those comments are going to all the members of the task force.
Okay.
So they're there. And then also on that same page, we have a list of frequently asked questions, as well as the calendar of all the forums that we're conducting. So that's there. That's on the main webpage.
Will I be able to see the comments already sent in by others?
I don't know that everybody will be able to see them. I know that the task force can see them. Okay, but as far as individually, I don't know that you would have that capability.
Yeah, I would think they wouldn't want us to see their comments.
Right, okay. But that's a very good suggestion, sir. So what I can do is I can probably ask the webmaster to put that on there. So
well, even without their name.
Right.
If
correct.
You would put this comment was made by a male or female,
right,
or whatever information there, without putting the name of the person, might feel they would be retaliated against.
Correct.
Because of their view. Either way.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So I can ask if that can be done, and then if it can be done, I'm sure that it can.
Yeah.
Then that's a good idea. Thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So anything else about that we need to know? This is what the public needs to know.
Right. For now, like I said, we are in the process of still conducting feedback from the public. Like I said, the report has not been done yet. Once the forums are over, and I believe that We have forums scheduled all the way through the end of April, and I believe the first week of May. Once that is over, we will start having our meetings again, the task force, and then we'll start preparing the report.
Does that law give you guidelines as to what possibly might be considered safe zones?
No, sir. Basically, the legislature also gave a freedom to the universities and the colleges to establish those gun-free zones. So that's what we're doing.
So you do a report and then turn it to the legislature? Who goes over that?
No, we turn it into the board of trustees.
Okay,
and then
it goes from the board, but then from the board, where does it go?
I believe it has to be turned into the Attorney General's office.
So the Attorney General is going to have a chance to review and say whether our college is conforming to what the law says.
I believe so, yes, sir.
Oh my goodness sakes.
So again, I mean, that's the process as I understand it right now. It may change. I mean, the law may change later on. I mean, I don't know, but as it stands right now, that's what it is.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you're wanting to tell your position on that, but we know that Sheriff Wiles and some others were going and testifying before the legislature saying, please don't do that. Would you prefer that we not have the legal carrying of guns on our campuses?
Yes, I would. Of course, as the chief of police here for the school, for the college, my first responsibility is the safety and security of everyone involved. And I know that the reasoning behind the law is, again, in case of an active shooter, so that people can defend themselves. But the chances of that happening are very small, like you mentioned. However, the chances of an accidental discharge, it's much greater, especially for people that are not well aware of the weapon that they're carrying, and they can, drop it and potentially discharge, or even get it stolen in case they don't take care of it well enough. So that's always my concern.
Well, just this week on national news, in fact, yesterday on national news, there was something about a school district in California, a high school, where it showed the principal discussing this fact that they're training like 5 or 6 teachers to carry concealed weapons just in case there's an active shooting. Did you see that or hear that report?
No, I didn't. I missed it. I must have missed it.
Yeah, so that was just this week, and being justified that you never know when someone might come and shoot up the campus. But we don't want all the teachers to carry the guns. We're just training a few to be ready and positioned in certain parts of the building if there is a need. Is that almost paranoia?
Well, it could be, but then also, really training only a few teachers, really, what is that going to accomplish? What if none of those teachers are on campus? What if they're out sick or out in training? What good does that do? So sometimes people, I believe, think about doing things, but they're not really practical.
Right.
So.
What about metal detectors?
Well, I mean, metal detectors, yes, they work, but the problem is that in this case, for example, the law here in Texas, if you have a license to carry a gun, you will be able to bring a gun. So really, what does that accomplish? And then
Will it catch the ones that are not licensed to carry the gun? They're sneaking them in.
That's true. That's true.
Do you know the penalties of some of these?
Yes, I do. If somebody that's unlawfully carrying a gun, here in Texas, it's a Class A misdemeanor, punishable by up to a year in jail and a $4,000 fine.
Okay.
So that's for somebody that is unlawfully carrying a gun.
Okay.
So yes, sir.
Well, a lot of discussion comes up about people who are mentally ill and are using guns, and psychiatric background checks and gun show checks and all of these things. Do you have opinions about some of those things?
Well,
that you can express publicly?
Well, again, some people they believe that carrying a gun is a constitutional right, and that's not so. Let me clarify that. For example, here in Texas, you can carry a gun only if you have a license. It is not constitutional. It is not a constitutional right for people to carry a gun. That is not correct.
It's a privilege more than an absolute right.
But you have to have a license. You can go and buy a gun and have it at your home, but you cannot be carrying that gun if you don't have a license. Prior to this law passing, like I say, people could not walk around with a handgun showing, openly displaying the gun. but now they can if they have a license. So let me start by saying that you have to have a license to carry a gun.
Well, many years ago, I was a discipline coordinator for our government department, and a female teacher came to me and said, Blevins, last night in a night class, there was a man had a bulge in his suit coat.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of business and professional people coming and taking night classes. And she said, I kind of got a glimpse, and he's carrying a gun.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, then we need to alert to the police department. We changed over, I believe, just changed over from security to a police department.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was confronted about that, and he had a license to carry. He was an agent, a federal agent, if I remember, and so could show. And so we've had to deal with these sometimes because it makes some people feel uneasy. Now, and I think sometimes people are not mentally ill and they use their weapons. They're mentally angry. Mm-hmm. A lot of people that commit these crimes, they're not mentally ill. They're just angry.
Just angry
people, and they take their anger and frustration out on other people.
Right.
And you and law enforcement have to deal with them. I'm sure you've had to deal with them when you were at the city police department.
Yes, I did on many occasions.
And so domestic violence calls are some of the most dangerous calls that you make.
Right. Yeah, they're unpredictable. It is very dangerous for a police officer to respond to a domestic violence call.
Okay, now you're meeting with students in some of these forums. Mm-hmm. What are the most commonly asked questions besides just the legal aspect?
Well, some of the common questions are that one that keeps coming up is that is anyone will everyone be able to carry a gun? And the answer to that is no. Again, I like to emphasize that you have to have a license to carry a gun, mm-hmm. and there are certain requirements that you have to go through the course and obtain your license. So that is not correct as far as everyone being able to carry a gun. No. So that question keeps coming up.
Okay.
Really, the other one is whether we're going to be prepared, for when the law takes effect, which it doesn't take effect until August the 1st of next year, 2017. Right. And my answer to that is yes, we'll be ready, we'll be prepared. We'll have the rules and regulations in place, and everyone will be informed of these rules and regulations, and hopefully with that, people will make mistakes and come onto the campus in an area where a gun is not allowed.
Now, I've been asked this question when this issue first came up a number of years ago. If we had the legal carrying of guns on our campus, such as in your car and so on, and would you put in lockers? I was being asked, do you think we could get lockers put in so that we could put our guns in lockers, especially if we're going to have gun-free safe zones, daycare or some of these other places, early college, high school? What do you think about that? What about the expense of the college and the board spending some money to put some lockers with certain combinations that will work well for the people that pay amount of money for use of a locker for a semester to put their gun in while they're in these gun-free zones?
We have discussed the issue of lockers. Right now, I don't believe really any of the institutions, any of the universities, public universities in Texas, are really going to in that route. They don't want to install any lockers. First of all, because of the expense. Right. Then there's also privacy issues, and then there's also safety issues, because then people will know that those particular lockers placed in a particular place are full of guns. Right. So the chances or the opportunity for people wanting to break in, it's there. Right. One of my biggest concerns is that the handling of the gun, the more that you handle the weapon, the more opportunity for that gun or that weapon to fire, to go off. So again, right now we're not thinking that way. We're not going to install lockers. Okay. If an individual wants to bring their gun, that's the responsibility of that individual, the gun owner, which should be responsible for the weapon.
Tell us then about liability. If their gun goes off accidentally kills someone on campus,
it's the responsibility of the individual. Okay. Of the individual.
And what charge would you bring against that person?
Well, that's going to depend whether there's a death or other type of injury. Mm-hmm. But you can be looking at aggravated assault or criminal negligent homicide. It just depends on the result of the incident.
And they could possibly face a civil suit by the person who is injured by their weapon going off.
As well. Other than in addition to the criminal charges, they could potentially be facing a civil lawsuit. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Mm.
Years ago, I took a course in literature, and one of the we had to read a drama. And early in the drama, the comment is made that if you put a gun on the wall in the first scene, it's going to be used before the play is over. Don't you anticipate, if guns are coming onto campus all over the state of Texas, that at some point we're going to start hearing stories about maybe rage in a classroom, and then hearing stories of accidental shootings, and then the legislature is going to have to look at that?
Yes, I would agree to a certain extent, especially the accidental shootings. I think that there's more potential of that happening than really anything else.
Yeah.
And again, because of the mishandling of a gun, of a weapon. Yes, sir. So.
Well, we need a lot of education then on
Yes.
this particular subject. And you,
Yes.
your job right now is to be a teacher.
Yes.
Not an enforcer,
No,
but a teacher and getting
Right.
the word out. Have you been on all the campuses so far?
Well, in the past, we have the forums. We've done forums so far at Mission del Paso,
Okay.
the Northwest Campus, the Rio Grande Campus. We've done one here at the Administrative Services Center, and then we're going to start tomorrow and Wednesday at the Valle Verde Campus.
Okay.
So
This is what? This is April the 18th.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And they can check that website.
You can check
Or
the
if they're on
website.
campus this week, they can check the Tejano Tribune and see when some of these things are happening.
Yes, sir. Mhm.
Well, I want you to know we appreciate you keeping us safe on our campus.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And you
I'm
thank
doing
your
my best.
staff, because I see them here and there. I talk to them on the phone from time to time, and you don't do it yourself. There's a whole lot behind us.
Right.
And then there's this interconnectedness with other agencies in El Paso.
That's correct. We receive a lot of cooperation from all the law enforcement agencies here in the county of El Paso, really. So if an incident should develop, we are going to receive all kinds of assistance from really all the law enforcement agencies here in the county.
Kind of converge when
Yes,
they
sir.
realize there's a crisis here. You help each other on those
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like an awful lot of stuff on your plate right now.
Yes, it is. But
And you eat your Wheaties and stay in good shape so you can get out there and get the message out for all of our students.
Yes.
Thanks again for being with us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me.
Good to get better acquainted with you in this forum. And those of you that are watching, get out and find out more about our college and find out about law enforcement in our college, and specifically open carry that will go into effect in over a year. Thanks for watching. I'm Leon Blevins.